A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts will be on the same field today for the first time since A.J. Brown was traded, as the Pats and Eagles hold a joint practice in Foxborough. Brown joins the Patriots following a 4-year stint that included 3 second-team All-Pros for the wideout. Now, before being traded to the Patriots in June, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown were a force to be reckoned with in Philly. But in 4 years as teammates, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown connected for 318 times for 4,700 yards and 29 touchdowns, leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl 59 win over the Chiefs. They did a lot of things together, guys. That's the point of that intro. But now they are not together. I'm curious for you, Kevin.
Yes.
How good does Jalen Hurts have to be to get the Birds back to the Super Bowl?
Better than he was last year, and he has the capability. He needs to play great. That's any Super Bowl quarterback, whether it's Sam Darnold or Patrick Mahomes, needs to play great. I think he can. This new offense, I was there in practice 2 weeks ago. It is what a quarterback should want. Middle of the field type of stuff, playing tricks with the linebacker's eyes. It's going to be easy answers. Mekhi Lemon in motion. You're going to have layups in this offense. I think that's what's really cool, and Jalen Hurts has got that capability. I think that he's become criminally underrated because we over-discuss him every single day on every single show. And I just feel like he's got this capability with the downfield passing, using his legs more. He did not use his legs efficiently last year. Part of that was on the offense. Part of that was also on the offensive line, which had Saquon Barkley getting hit behind the line of scrimmage more than he ever has in Philadelphia. So I think it's going to be a bounce back here. I think they win this division. That's the one thing I've changed my mind on the last couple of weeks. They win this division because I love this new offense in general.
Oh, okay.
Look, I think he needs to be good. He doesn't have to be great, but I think he has to be better than he was, obviously, until his QBR dropped to top 20. In 2024, he was top 10. I think that's where he needs to be, right on the fringe of top 10 in meaningful quarterback metrics. Look, obviously, I think in order for him to get to the Super Bowl, a lot of the things have to go right like they did in 2024, namely the health of the offensive line, has to first and foremost be what it was then. You can't have Cam Jurgens playing at maybe 50%. You cannot have Lane Johnson missing more than 3/4 of the season. You just can't have that. You have to have your offensive line. It has to be healthy. The running game has to be a big part of this. And quite honestly, the health of the wide receiver group has to be a big part of this too. Devontae Smith has to be big for them this year. Everyone in Philadelphia believes he can be wide receiver 1. Everyone has had tremendous respect for him since he came into that building. He proved it when he was at Bama. He's proved it when they've asked him to do it when he's been in Philadelphia. He just needs to stay on the football field, stay healthy. Mekhi Lemon has to get healthy. He has to get time on task with Jalen Hurts so he can develop that trust. Octavian Wicks seems like he's already showing what he can do when he has ample opportunity. Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt has to show what he can do. The defense, Vic's going to take care of the defense. I'll tell you this: if Hurts can be top 10 in QBR, they'll be in the NFC title game. If he's not, look, I believe Dallas is going to be right there, and I think the Rams are going to be there, as the other team, as the other opponent in the NFC title game.
He has to be top 10 in QBR, you said?
Yes. Okay. I think he needs to be there.
He's a very hard guy to evaluate because, let's face it, in the 2 Super Bowls, he won the MVP in one, and he could have won the MVP in the other. He had the fumble, and then they gave him the free field goal on the hold, which drove me crazy, which Kansas City won the game. So and then the other thing is, he orchestrated when they were 10-1. They collapsed. They lost their last 11-1, whatever it was. They lost their last 5 or 6 games, and they got mauled in Philadelphia, and he was in Tampa, and he was the quarterback there.
Right.
And last year he was terrible. Now A.J. Brown helped because he dropped passes, but he was awful. He wasn't good against San Francisco. He got beat at home against the Niners, and he was not good. He was bad at the end on the 4th down sequence where he forced the ball in the middle of the field. He didn't play great there. So he's a hard game to evaluate. He's tricky. He's got a lot of great things, and he's done great things. But no A.J. Brown, maybe that's a positive because, he doesn't have to listen to that. He's got the 2 other receivers. I think Philadelphia, now you seem to know him better. I know Kevin now I got to be sharp with him because he.
Kev's on it, man. He does his work.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be, but you're here. He's really got to.
I'm not sure about Sinner and Alcaraz at the U.S. Open, but he knows the system. So I have to be careful there. I think the Eagles could go either. They could go one way or the other. They could be really good, a la what you say, or they could, stumble a little trouble finding their identity. Barkley, 2 years older.
Yeah.
They could go there, too. I'm not exactly sure where to go with the Eagles.
So, Kevin, I want to ask you, because we've talked ad nauseum about Jalen Hurts and the criticisms of him. He's on his 5th different offensive coordinator in 6 seasons under Sirianni. since he became the starting quarterback. How much control over his success level does Jalen Hurts have? Because important pieces have changed around him consistently.
Yeah, he has a lot. I mean, I think that he is the driver. He's the engine of the offense, and he gets disrespected enough to people think that it's everybody else but him. That he's the 11th most important person on that offense. He's the only guy that gets blamed for having help. And we say, oh, well, Josh Allen needs a DJ Moore. Okay, we went out and got that. Okay, we talked about the deep ball with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, he's got to have Xavier Worthy take a step forward. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. He has help. They have help. When Jalen Hurts gets help, we go, oh, whoa, no, that's too much help. We blame him for having help in a way I find disrespectful. So the answer is yes, he will have a lot of impact on himself and that offense.
And we credit Howie Roseman for being a great GM.
Exactly right. It's always somebody else doing the work.
Quick final word, Lewis, go.
No, look, I think betting against Jalen Hurts throughout his career will have cost you a lot of money if you decided to do that.
Bingo.
I think last year, look, when you look at his efficiency when he was under center, I think he had 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He didn't have a lot of attempts under center. That's not his fault. He may not have liked it, but it was effective when he did it. I watched all of his snaps from under center just last night in my hotel room. He can play in this type of offense. He looks very good doing it. This is an offense, the way in which they want it to evolve, that should do nothing but benefit him. He should have a top 10 quarterback type of season. I would not bet against him. No question about that.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Up next, Jordan Love has received a lot of praise for his skill set. But is he a really great quarterback? Don't miss this one.
For the start of the season. I know Sal definitely is in mid-season form. Sal, thank you very much. We're going to get Andrew Hawkins in a little bit as well here. We're having a little trouble with his technically, but I am interested in this because it is another new offense, but this one really does seem to be different, and it does seem to feature a lot of the things that people have said, and look, I'm not expert enough to be able to judge it one way or another. People have said are not Jalen Hurts' strong suit, and some wonder, and we'll get to that in a minute, whether they have the personnel for it. What do you think of Jalen Hurts running this offense?
Look, I do believe that Jalen can, I don't necessarily want to say major in being under center and consistently playing that way, but he has shown flashes in the past as recently as last year of being able to execute this kind of offense at a very, very high level. Look, here it is. You're going to see it here on 1st and 10. Him execute a 7-step drop, double hitch, and throw the football with pressure in his face to Devontae Smith. Guess where? In the middle of the field. Here you're going to see him here. A quick 5-step drop, hit that back foot, hit Devontae Smith on an in-breaker, going across the field on time, in rhythm, and guess where it was? In the middle of the field. Pre-snap motion, under center. I believe this is a 2nd down play, 7-step drop, double hit, step up in the pocket, throw it over the middle to A.J. Brown. You see the separation between the 2nd and 3rd level. Those are all the kind of things you're going to see in this offense.
Right.
You turn on Green Bay's tape in 2025, that's what Jordan Love's doing. I didn't even put in there some of the bootleg type action, getting him out on the perimeter, cut the field in half, have 3-level reads, nice simple throws. He can do all that stuff. But I think what the thing is that you don't want to take away from him is his dual threat capability, his ability to actually really affect the game with his legs, not just in the red area, but in the field overall. Do you want to major at it? No. Would you like him to major being in the pocket, really executing the play action passing game from under center? Yeah. He's showing you he can do it. I don't know. Look, I know there's going to be some statistics that maybe say he's not that good of a thrower in the middle of the field. But as Bill Walsh has said, if he shows me he can do it like that, then it's up to us to kind of pull it out of him so he can do it more consistently because he has shown he can do that.
What's your concern?
My concern is, again, what I said earlier, A.J. Brown at 230 pounds, one across the middle consistently. Lou just showed us a couple of flashes of what Devontae Smith can do, but he's 170 pounds. Somebody has to do that consistently and deal with the rigors of a 17-game season. Maybe it's Eli Stowers who they drafted. Mekhi Lemon showed you some of that at USC. He's been a little banged up. I'm sure he'll be okay, Greeny. But to me, like when you look at the way they are built, that would be the concern about occupying the middle of the field. Lou makes a great point. Like if you think about that Green Bay offense, they had a lot of guys that can do that. The only grade I would give Philadelphia right now is a grade of incomplete. I'm not saying they can't, but there's a lot of question marks about how this team's been built.
And you know what? Look, I think sometimes when we kind of latch on to certain things and certain narratives about players, like you don't just have to attack the middle of the field constantly. You can attack outside the numbers. The running game is going to be something that's going to be improved in Philadelphia simply because of the fact that you would assume that this offensive line is going to be much healthier this year than it was a year ago. Jalen Hurts is not going to have to live under center 100% of the time. I think but the way in which they want to evolve this offense, which they think is going to take it to another level, I totally understand. I just don't think we're being fair to Jalen Hurts in whether or not he can do this in the way Sean Mannion wants it done.
Sal, give me a quick final word.
Well, I think the key is the offensive line is healthy this year. Last year, it was not. Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson had major injury issues that took them off the field. They both went to Europe and got some treatment. They're both feeling much better. Lane Johnson missed 10 games with a Liz Frank. He's back on the field. And the math is simple about Lane Johnson, Greeny. When he's on the field at right tackle, the Eagles win 66% of their games. When he's off the field, they lose 66% of their games. So he's got a healthy offensive line. They are getting this offense so it is acclimated to Jalen Hurts' abilities. Lewis